All right, let's get into some shorter, quick little news bites just to kind of like keep you updated on what's happening around the league. We talked last episode about how good Zion looks. Christian Clark of the Times-Picayune, maybe my favorite newspaper in America just because you get to say Picayune, might have given us an extra reason of why Zion seems extra motivated in being skinny. $139 million, $193 million deal, right? With massive incentives. So what are these incentives? We finally know. If he wins any of these accolades, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, or is a first-team All-Star this year, first-team All-NBA, he is due to receive $38 million more. $38 million, 38 million reasons to be in shape and to ball out and to be completely healthy. I would definitely hire a nutritionist if $38 million was on the line. What does that mean? I think that means Zion is going to be an absolute wrecking ball, and they are going to be the team in the West to watch this year. Speaking of extensions, Tyler Hero, we talked about that last episode, but we now know what his extension looks like. Tyler Hero, 4 years, $120 million, $10 million in incentives, right around $32.5 million per year. Remember, he said last week, there are players across the league who have gotten paid who I know I am better than. So it's got to be the right number. Well, he's making more than Jalen Brunson right now. He's making more than Anthony Simons right now. Apparently, the right number for him, $32.5 million. Seems like the right number. Also, less than he would hope. Also, a lot more than I thought he was worth. I thought he was like 28, 29. And what's $3.5 million when the cap is as big as it is? But still, at least he's no longer going to be a part of these trade rumors. Wonder what that means now, though, for Michigan player Duncan Robinson, who's just sitting there on the bench making, I think, $16 million per year. That was a bad signing. That was a really bad signing. So, speaking of trade rumors, nobody has been in more trade rumors outside of Miles Turner than Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes in Sacramento. Rumored to be traded to 10 teams, 11 teams maybe, over the last 2 years. Which is why when he was asked what it's like to be constantly looking over his shoulder, he gave a refreshingly honest answer. Barnes said, "You know the NBA. I check Woj, I check Shams. They've still got me here. So as far as I'm concerned, this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm going to give it my best effort." It's pretty incredible to hear that these NBA players literally don't hear news any earlier than us. Like, we get the news the very first moment we can have it. That's why you have to have them on notifications. But it's nice to know that Harrison Barnes is checking for the Woj bomb to see his name. And also, on a very separate side note, could you imagine if you had been fired and it happened on Twitter? Like, you find out on Twitter, hey, come into my office. Nope, you don't get that. You get, it's been reported that Trysta Krick has been removed from the heat check starting now. That'd be so wild. It's been reported that Trysta has been traded to iHeartRadio. Like, okay, where am I going? Also, quickly, Giannis. Giannis is a dark dude. As like sunny of a disposition that he has, and as funny as he is, and all these dad jokes. He likes dark movies. Disney Plus movie Rise was made about his upbringing. His criticism. It wasn't dark enough. What? I immediately said to myself, well, I need to know. How dark was it? Like, what was the darkest moment? I need to go to Milwaukee and ask, like, what was the darkest moment of your upbringing? Because obviously you wanted it out there. You didn't want the whitewashed Wonder Bread version out there. You wanted to put all of the grit and all of the grime, but I also went down a rabbit hole recently about why trauma is something that people keep writing about and putting out in films. It's very weird. Every book I tried to buy from the bookstore the other day, all centered around a dark past comes bubbling up that they must confront. It's like, no. Anyway, his biggest hurdle, Mama Antetokounmpo, also didn't think that the movie was dark enough or true enough to reality. She was mad it wasn't more realistic. Did anybody tell him they could have done this with like HBO Max? Like, it didn't need to be Disney Plus. Like, I promise you HBO Max would have done that deal. It would have been like, all right, we're putting out House of Dragons, and then a season before that we're putting out, it's not called Rise, it's called like Stay Down. I don't know. He's happy that the kids are responding to his life story, but he cannot wait, he says, for a movie about his life that will be more dark, because he said it will be more accurate that way. I need to know what happened. I know his mom was selling like DVDs in Greece. I need to know. Moving on. Reports hit the wires that Shaq is currently interested in becoming a part of the new ownership group of the Phoenix Suns. Shaq wants to buy the Suns. Wasn't he there for like a season? He was the big cacti, and then he was something else. He went somewhere else pretty quickly after that when he went to the Heat. I mean, he has no real connection to Phoenix, especially considering that he shares a set with someone who is Mr. Phoenix Suns in Charles Barkley. So to me, it feels very petty. It feels like he wants to own it and have that to lure over Charles Barkley on TNT, really, just so he can make fun of him on TNT. Apparently, he wants to get into business with Jeff Bezos, who is now rumored to be kicking the tires on the Suns. I don't want Jeff Bezos owning an NBA team. I don't. He owns too many things. He just does. I don't want him owning every facet of my life. I went to a grocery store today. It was an Amazon grocery store. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen. You just scan a code, you put groceries in the bag, and you leave. They don't even check you out. How do they know? They've got cameras. They've got weight markers. They correspond the weights to the foods. How do they know? How do they know? How do they get it all right? What if they overcharge me? What if they accuse me of stealing when I didn't? All these things. Scary. Amazon, Jeff Bezos is a scary dude. What's he going to do inside of an arena? Who knows? Really interesting. But the league does need Shaq as an owner. I would like that. So, here's a question. What NBA player can guard positions 1 through 5? I think the list is pretty short, right? You've got probably Bam Adebayo. You've got... Well, let's actually ask Bam Adebayo who he thinks can do that. He has his own ideas. This is what Bam said. He says it's me, Draymond, and Giannis. 3 guys who can literally guard 1 through 5 and be effective. So he leaves off Ben Simmons, who played 1 and now is going to play 5. So you would imagine he could probably guard 2, 3, and 4. LeBron James, he just leaves LeBron James off. I think he can guard 1 through 5. I think he's pretty effective at that. Who am I missing? Kevin Durant. Can Kevin Durant guard 1 through 5? He can guard maybe 2, 1.5 through 5. Like a big point guard. Who am I missing? Are there any players with the length and the agility? Jason Tatum, could he play? Could he guard 1 through 5? I'm just throwing these names out here now. Length, agility to defend all positions, and strength to be able to take a bruising down low in the post. I'd like to know. Let me know what you guys think, either in the comment section, hit me up on Twitter. Am I missing anyone? Latest trade rumor, Buddy Hield and Miles Turner to the Lakers for both of their first-round picks. This has been going on for forever. I'm done. I'm done with this Indiana Pacers Lakers trade. Like, either do it or don't do it. I don't want to hear any more about Buddy Hield being in purple and gold, which will be an absolute nightmare of a scenario if it happens. I don't want to hear any more about Miles Turner being traded. Like, no more rumors. This is the biggest tease. It's been going on for like 4 years. Even when Buddy Hield was in Sacramento, we've been hearing about all of these guys being traded. I'm done. Zach Lowe reports, my best intel right now is if the Lakers called Indiana right now and said both picks unprotected, the Pacers would do that deal. I mean, yeah, 2 first-round picks for guys that you don't like. Like, they don't like either one of them. Yes, of course that deal's going to happen if you offer them your 25 and 27 first-round picks, which LeBron James will be as old as dust by then, and so this team will be nowhere. And Anthony Davis will probably be retired by 2027. So, of course they're going to do it. Will the Lakers do it? That's the question. All right, someone asked Steve Nash about Ben Simmons' free throw woes. And he said, I believe in Ben as a free throw shooter. That's really nice to hear, Steve. I'm glad you believe in him. What was he supposed to say? What Doc Rivers said? I mean, then they've got to deal with, like, Ben never coming back to the team. You can't levy one bit of criticism on Ben Simmons if you're the coach publicly without him deciding he needs another back surgery. Like, that's just facts. The last time we saw Ben Simmons, he shot 34% from the line in the playoffs over 12 games. That was a point guard at that point, shooting 34% from the free throw line. I mean, what is he supposed to say, I guess? Like, I don't believe in Ben. I pray he never gets fouled. That's why we don't want the ball in his hands. Like, he's going to pass every time he has the ball. Like, that's why I said I don't want him shooting jump shots, because God forbid I have to have him shoot 3 free throws. Like, what is he going to say? I plan on benching him in the fourth quarter. Don't worry. Like, everything's fine. Like, if Steve Nash knew how to manage his rotations, that's what he would do. Ben Simmons out there, quarters 1, 2, and 3. Quarters 1 and 3, when the pressure is the least. Of course you got to say that. It's just like, Steve Nash is maybe the worst. Maybe the worst coach in the NBA right now. And that's saying a lot, because Steve Clifford's back, folks. Also, Rachel Nichols. She's back, folks. The coast is clear for Rachel Nichols, given the fact that the world has turned their attention on spewing venom at Malika Andrews. So now Rachel Nichols comes from the clouds and announces she's now with Showtime Sports. She gave her first interview with the All the Smoke guys. She went through her entire point of view over why she was ousted or pushed out from ESPN. Listen, I like people getting a second chance. But if I am Matt Barnes and Jack, we're not putting out that promo right now. We have the entire world going after Malika and questioning her blackness. We can't have, and we were connected in the Rachel Nichols saga as the only people of color that she would put on her show were us. We can't promote her coming back right now. We got to push this announcement, dog. A week, maybe 9 days. We can't be connected to this. We got to reshoot this. This is like the day after Malika Andrews got destroyed by Twitter. People being like, bring Rachel Nichols back. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm back. Like, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. That just shows you that one day you're on the spit. Next, you're part of the fire. She turned in, just really landed on her feet, Rachel Nichols. Shocking Rachel Nichols is resilient. I'll just say that. Moving forward, Chet Holmgren. Poor Chet Holmgren. On the day the preseason began, he tweeted this. It was like one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen. All caps, I want to hoop. Damn. I want to see you hoop too, Chet Holmgren. Reports say that he's reached out to Joel Embiid for advice on what it's like to miss his entire rookie year. He said, I briefly spoke to Joel on what his experience was like and talked to one of his trainers a little bit and got some kind words of advice. Awesome stuff. Also, how come he didn't contact Ben Simmons? He missed his whole rookie year too. It's weird. Really quick aside, did you guys see that Instagram photo? And it was Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and Ben. And Ben was just like on the left side of the photo, and he's like looking at Kai and Katie, and they're like looking at only each other, like just icing them out of the photo, like just turning their entire shoulder, like who invited this guy? Who invited this guy? Who is this guy? He's like the PR guy off to the side, like the agent. Not involved in the conversation in any way, just eating pizza. Anyway, back to Chet Holmgren. I can't wait to see him. Can't wait to see him back. Finally, in my tweet of the week, we get to see James Wiseman not only ball out to the tune of 20 points, 9 rebounds, which is also, I actually don't know which is more surprising. James Wiseman, being fully healthy and dominant, or James Wiseman to decide in Japan to go in full samurai gear and use a samurai sword to chop a bamboo target in half. James Wiseman in a samurai suit with a samurai sword in Japan. It's like Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai. It's James Wiseman. I think if there's one guy, though, because he's had so many injuries, if there's one guy, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, I don't want to be wielding one of the most sharp swords on earth. It's like, oh yeah, we're giving you Valerian steel. A Valerian steel sword and a dragon. There you go, James Wiseman. Play Game of Thrones. It's like, no, I don't want James Wiseman like cosplaying anything that could lead him to get injured again, even a flesh wound. Because like James Wiseman will get a flesh wound, and then it would ultimately get infected, and then he would probably end up losing a limb. Because like that's how bad of luck that he has. It'd be like, you remember when James Wiseman lost from his elbow to his hand because he accidentally cut himself with a samurai sword on a PR trip during training camp to Japan? That shit was crazy. What could have been if James Wiseman wasn't messing around trying to play samurai? Do you guys remember when Jaguars kicker Chris Hansen ended his season by hitting himself in the leg with an axe, trying to chop wood in the locker room? Like, that's what I imagine happening to James Wiseman. Like, just James Wiseman out for the year, doo-doo, and then you have to go to like NBA.com/injuries, and it's like James Wiseman out, designation, samurai sword, flesh wound. That's what it is. What a piece of memorabilia that was. We can only hope there will not be a samurai sword sitting inside of one of Lacob's offices or one of James Wiseman's locker in the future. Don't want to see that.